everybody, Chris Stokes from Custom Fitness Personal Training Studio. Today we're talking about burning more calories by increasing the flexibility and mobility of just this one joint. A lot of times people don't realize that one joint can have such an impact on their fat loss, on their muscle strength, on their muscle tone, but it really can affect it because this one joint is inhibiting the larger muscle groups from doing their best, and that larger muscle group is typically going to be your highest calorie burner. So usually the more that you move, the more you burn. Well, if you can't move very far, get very deep into an exercise, then you end up not burning as much. We really want to remember that it's about the whole body, and specific foundations have to be met, but if our body's not functioning as one unit all together doing the same thing, then it can cause a problem. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about our ankle. So a lot of times people will be doing squats and they'll have pains in their knees, and typically that's from doing a knee forward position in their squat rather than a hip back. Well, the hip back tends to bother some people because they can't get as deep. So they feel like in the knee forward they're making more progress even though their heel's lifting and doing all these things. But in the hip back, they might get stopped here at a 45 or not be able to get below that 90-degree point, or maybe they can't even quite get to there before they start to push forward in the knees or lift up to the heels. So what's going on there is typically that we've got kind of a lockdown happening in the ankle joint. That ankle is not as flexible as what it could be, so therefore it's not allowing the full range of motion that we'd like. So if our ankle joint is unlocked and we take our hips back, then we're able to get deeper into that movement without letting our toes up or our heels up, causing shifts through the body. So the heel would be the first telltale sign that something's happening. The toes would come into it as you start to shift and you're trying to wiggle to move the body to get a little bit deeper. So again, not a solution there to move the body like that. We want to rather work on that flexibility in the joint to be able to help you to get deeper into your squats, your lunges, and those kinds of things. So what's causing this problem? Well, we think about that we move forward all day long. We're constantly moving in the same direction. How often do you actually step out to the side or walk to the back or anything like that? So we typically don't work the ankle joint in different directions anymore, even though it's meant to work in all different planes of motion. What else happens is, especially for females here, and even some males, our shoes have even just a slight elevation on them. But if we take it to the extreme, we wear high heels and we wear flats, right? So even that slight elevation can cause a problem because our foot that should be in this, parallel to the ground place here tends to be slightly elevated. That causes tension through the Achilles tendon here, which, we're imagining this is my foot here. So the Achilles tendon starts to tighten, the calf starts to tighten. The ankle joint gets kind of frozen in this position. Now with high heels, it gets worse, obviously, right? Because we're up on the tippy toes. That heel position that was here comes all the way up. But you said flats. What about flats? You were just saying that the foot should be flat to the ground. Well, the problem is, if you've ever watched somebody, and if you haven't, feel free to go out and people watch today. Find a group of people, especially women, that are wearing those ballet flats, straps, no straps, doesn't matter. If you pay attention to how they're walking, they do more of a shuffle with their foot, if you will. So as they're walking, they actually keep their foot completely flat. There is no range of motion through that ankle because as they walk, if they were to roll through that foot, I think you saw that, if you were to roll through that foot, lift the heel, then you're going to end up popping that shoe off every time or put extra stress on that ankle strap where it's really uncomfortable in that tendon. So typically people wearing ballet flats are just walking flat foot all the time. People on heels, again, contracting that Achilles tendon, causing some ankle lock there. So we shorten different tendons, we cause problems with that joint just all around the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, they all start to freeze up. So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, in order to do something about something, we gotta know if we have a problem in the first place. Maybe you don't. The best way to test that is to find a wall, put your foot about 4 inches away, or your big toe about 4 inches away from the wall, and you could put a little piece of tape there if you wanted to make life more complicated, or you can kind of eyeball it to use a tape measure, those kinds of things. So you want to put your foot about 4 inches away. This other foot is not going to be doing anything. It's really just this foot here. So you're going to put all your weight on it. You're going to make sure the knee goes straight ahead, that doesn't fall in or fall out, and all you're going to do is lean forward into that wall with your knee. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this pant leg up so you can see what's happening here. As I lean forward into the wall, if your heel lifts to get there, you know that you've got some ankle issues, right? So if that heel lifts, then maybe we need to scoot it closer and do it again. See how far away you can get from that wall to be able to maintain that knee down position and get the knee to the wall at the same time. Then you want to measure that. That's kind of your beginning test score. So a beginning test score, you're going to try to improve that over time. A range of about 4 to 5 inches is considered normal range of motion. There's no typical standards or anything like that that have been written about it, but that's typically your range of motion that would be optimal, would be about 4 to 5 inches away from the wall and being able to tap that knee down. So maybe you're great and you don't have any problems, but what do you do if you do have a problem? Well, there's a few different stretches that you can do. First of all, you can take that same position, 4 inches away or whatever position that you were able to get into, and tap that wall, move it back just about a half inch to an inch, and then take it down and hold that position. So now where you want to feel the stress is in the ankle joint, not in your knee. So if you're feeling pain in the knee, we're probably doing something a little bit wrong. But we want to feel that stress in the ankle joint. We want to feel that stretch in the ankle joint. So we're not trying to break it or anything like that. I don't want you to feel pain in there, but I do want you to feel like it's opening up that joint. It's getting things moving again. So you do about 3 to 4 sets of that for about 15 to 30 seconds a piece, depending on how often you're doing it and those kinds of things. But that would be a good place to start. Another stretch that you can do is a calf stretch. So again, we were talking about the Achilles tendon being short. Well, if that Achilles tendon is short, you definitely can't flex that foot the way that you'd like to. So what we would do there is maybe take a rolled up mat or a towel and place it against the wall or somewhere where you're comfortable. Basically, you're just trying to elevate that toe. If you can see my toe is up here, we would take all the weight into that leg and we'd lean forward to get that calf stretch. Now that stretches, and a lot of people will leave it there. A lot of people won't go any further. But what happens is that stretches one of your calf muscles. So you've got 2 calf muscles in there. So if I drop that heel down, again, don't lock out that knee. We've talked about that before. We want to keep it nice and soft. But it stretches one muscle. What happens then if you bend the knee to stretch? Well, you're going to stretch the other calf muscle and you're going to feel that ankle activate. So you're going to feel a little bit more stretch in that ankle as you're pressing down through that knee, and then take it back up. Again, don't lock the knee, but take it to straight where you can feel that stretch. If you can't feel it, step the other foot forward and then stretch, lean into it like a lunge position, okay? So you're gonna find the best stretch for you. All right, so one last stretch that will help this ankle, and some of it is also just practicing that movement. There's a lot of fear that goes into a squat as well. You have me go to church and sit on a church pew, the brain's gonna say, okay, I've got a bench to sit on, I'm great. But you have me pull out in the middle of a room, the brain says, oh my goodness, what are you wanting me to sit on? There's just air here. So as we sit back, sometimes that fear comes in. So this is not only gonna stretch your ankle, but it's also gonna help that fear as we start to learn how to balance our body in that position. So we do that in a doorway here. We grab a hold of the doorway, we put our feet about hip to shoulder width apart, toes forward, and we sit back into that squat. Now if this is as low as you can get, that's great. Take it as low as you possibly can. Walk those hands down. The hands are holding you up, so you're not trying to hold yourself forward. You want to sit back and just really feel that stretch in those feet, in the ankles. So you're going to walk the feet back just a little bit if you need to feel that stretch and learn how to balance. So at that point, maybe you don't have all of your weight in your hands, maybe you start to put some of it in the feet and a little more in the feet. If you brought it up to half, could you keep some of it in the feet and not all of it in the hands? So it's things to kind of work on as you're going through, but if you try those 3 things out, it's going to start to help to, again, increase that range of motion, which is going to get you deeper into your squats, your lunges, better mobility in walk of life, which means you're burning more calories because you're getting deeper into those muscle fibers every time. So if you would like some extra help on a special problem that you're having, an issue that you're having, we would be happy to help you out with that. Feel free to give us a call, 806-322-3188. Remember that over here we customize a full comprehensive program for each client, exercise, nutrition, habit coaching. We put it all together to make sure that you succeed. Our goal is to change your life. So feel free to give us a call. Hope you got something good out of today. We'll talk to you soon.